I'm Jolene Wynn, and this is the Porn Addict's Wife podcast, episode number 118. It's not my secret to tell. Your life does not have to revolve around your husband's pornography addiction. You are not defined by his choices or by what he sees on a screen. You are not just the porn addict's wife. You are so much more. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to go from handling it to healed, because I've been where you are and you don't have to stay there. My name is Jolene Wynn. I'm a member of the LDS faith, a certified life coach, and a wife of a former porn addict. And this is a podcast for the porn addict's wife. Good morning, my ladies. How are you? I am doing so well. It has been the weirdest week. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you should. If you don't, go follow me at Jolene Wynn Coaching. But if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I haven't had my kids for almost a week. It is bizarre, you guys. My mom and dad wanted to have a week with just them at their house. So my parents live in Delaware. I live in North Carolina. So we met in the middle in Virginia, and I handed off my kids to my parents, and they drove them up, and they have been having the time of their lives. My kids are so happy and don't miss me at all, which is totally fine. And they're having so much fun, and they come home tomorrow. And it hasn't been a totally empty house. People keep asking me about that. How is it having an empty house? Well, it's not really empty because my sister, as fate would have it, her air conditioning broke last week. So the day after I dropped off my kids, my sister and her husband and her 3 kids stayed at our house for a couple of days while their AC was getting fixed. And I always like to have my people over. So I had I've just had friends over, and my husband and I decided to do a project this weekend. So we replaced our backsplash tile in our kitchen. So even though it was an empty house, it was still full of other people and busy. It's not like I haven't had anything to do, although I have taken a lot of naps, which has been super nice. And as productive as I thought I was going to be, I was not. And I have just enjoyed not doing things. It's been really nice. And so I would encourage y'all to take a little break. And if you don't have time to take a break yet, then take a break and come to Nashville with me. And that will be your break. Okay? October 13th through the 16th, I'm going to Nashville for a girls' weekend trip. It's going to be phenomenal. And I want you guys to come join me. So I was actually I'm totally digressing, but I was talking to some of my clients the other day on a call, and one of them said, "Do you guys even have any spots left?" Yes, I do. I have plenty of space for you. So please head to my website, jolenewynn.com. There is a tab called events. It has all of the details, and you can sign up right there. And that is how you register. I would encourage y'all to sign up ASAP so that you can make your travel plans and make sure that you get your babysitters all lined up, and so that you can come. And one thing that I want to offer, one thing that I keep hearing is, and this is totally normal, is we think, okay, let me see if I can fit it in. Okay, ladies, it's never just going to fit in. A weekend away by yourself, never going to fit in. There's not going to be a babysitter that magically calls you up and says, "Hey, I just would happen to watch your kids on these 3 days. Can you go somewhere?" And the airlines are not going to call you and say, "We happen to have a ticket just for you at the price you want or for free on the weekend that you need it." This is never going to happen. You have to decide that you're going to go. Your husband is never going to say, "Hey, I think you should leave me alone with the kids and take a weekend just for yourself." He's never going to do that. I mean, maybe yours does, but mine hasn't. So if your husband is not going to magically do that, you're going to have to just say, "Hey, honey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going on a girls' trip, and I'm going to Nashville. I'm going to spend 3 days working on myself. I'm going to spend 3 days coaching with the most amazing coach and surrounding myself with women who inspire me and make me feel like I'm not alone. And I'm going to overcome all the things that are holding me back right now from feeling like I'm in control of my life. And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be an even better version of myself. Plus, it's in Nashville. We're going to have a great time." That's what you need to do, and then you make it happen, okay? I'm digressing, but that was what happened this weekend, and that's what I want you guys to come join me and do in Nashville, okay? So I replaced our kitchen backsplash this weekend. If you guys don't know that about me, my husband and I like to do DIY projects, do-it-yourself stuff. So we've done a lot of stuff in our house, and this was the first time, though. This is not the first time we've done tile, but this is the first backsplash that we've done, and it was fun. I think tiling is really fun. So that was my weekend, and my kids come back tomorrow, and I wanted to talk on the podcast today. Oh, one more thing. Don't forget, my book comes out on September 6th. If you guys are not signed up for my emails, please go sign up. So just go to my website, jolenewind.com. There's a little box that'll pop up as soon as you get onto the website, and it'll have you put your email in. If that doesn't happen, just go to the About Me page and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can put your email in that way. I will be sending out reminders on September 6th because there is going to be a little bit of a promotion, so you guys are not going to want to miss it. And I do have Coach Week all set up. You guys come join me for Coach Week. It's going to be a big party the week of September 6th through the 9th. I'm doing a whole week of free coaching. So if you go to my website, jolenewind.com, there is a tab called Coach Week. It has all the details. You can sign up for free. Again, this is just a week of free coaching in celebration of my book launching, and I'm super excited. I'm going to be doing some giveaways and things like that. So please come, go register, sign up, get your friends to sign up with you, and it's going to be such a good time. So again, go to jolenewind.com, go to the Coach Week tab, and you can sign up for a week of free coaching. Okay, today, ladies, I want to talk about what to do when your husband says, I don't want you to tell anybody. This is something that has come up a lot for me. I know I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but I've never dedicated an entire episode to it, and it's come up on some coaching calls, and so I wanted to bring it up here. It is very, very common for the women, the wife of the one who's struggling with pornography, to feel very isolated and feel very alone, and to also not really be talking to a lot of people or anybody about it, because the thought is, it's not my secret to tell. Now, what I want to offer today is that you tell someone. I did not, and it was the number one mistake that I always tell people about. When people ask me, what is your one piece of advice to someone who has just found out that their husband is struggling with pornography, I say, you need to be talking to 3 people about it. One is your husband. The second person is a professional who's dedicated just to you. If you guys want to do couples counseling, that's great, but you need someone that is just for you. And ladies, if you're still looking for that person, I'm happy to be that person for you. I would be honored. And the third person is one confidant, one person in your life. And I'm not talking about someone online. I'm not talking about an anonymous support group online. Those are great. However, you need to have one person who's actually in your life physically. Someone you can call on the phone, someone who, they may not be close by you physically, but someone you can call on the phone when you're having a bad day and just cry. Someone who won't judge. And here's the biggest thing that I think people worry about is they say, well, I don't want to tell anybody because I'm worried that then they'll judge my husband. Ladies, can I tell you a secret? 50% of men struggle with this. So odds are that the person that you decide to talk to, you got a 50-50 shot that they're actually in the same boat, ladies. And if they're in the same boat, they're not judging your husband. They just want to be there for you. Okay? Here's what I want to say. It's very noble of you for your desire to not have them, to not want them to judge your husband. But when we think that, what I want to question is why? Okay? Why don't you want them to judge their husband? Your husband, let's say they do. What's so bad about that? Well, I don't want them to change the way they think about him or the way they view them. That's a really nice thought that you actually have no control over. You have no control over whether or not they change the way they think about your spouse. You have no control over whether or not they judge him. Okay? You have to let them be them. And obviously that, if they judge him, like obviously there are certain people in your life that you might feel more comfortable that maybe they like your husband. And so you start there. But I have found, ladies, the people that I have shared my husband's addiction with, even before I started coaching, I only got compassion in return. And in fact, more people judged me than they judged him. Okay? So don't worry about whether or not people are going to judge your husband. You have to let that go because you actually have no control over that. The other thing that I want to share is that I know that if there are any men listening to this podcast, I know that there is this this worry, this kind of fear that if the wife starts to share, that she'll actually share all the details. And that's super embarrassing. And I know that these gentlemen are just asking, or women, maybe they haven't even asked, but you feel like you can't tell because it's not your secret. What I want to offer is that you don't have to share all the details. And here's what I mean by this. I know that there are a lot of gentlemen that are worried that when their wife starts talking to me, that starts getting coaching from me, that all it will be is her divulging all the secrets that he has shared, his worst moments. And of course, that would be a huge fear. It would feel very vulnerable, very embarrassing. Let me put your mind at ease, gentlemen. The women that I coach do not come to me and share all the details. The details don't matter. What I care about is not what he's doing. What I care about is how she is affected. Does that make sense? When I am coaching you ladies, I'm not worried about the details. I'm not worried about what exactly he did. What I'm focused on is how it's affecting you. And that is what you need help with. So often I feel like the desire not to tell someone is that you don't want to divulge the secrets. And what I want to offer is that it's very natural for us not to divulge the secrets, but rather to work through how we are affected by them. Does that make sense, ladies? You can see the distinction. This is super, super important because this is something that I think holds a lot of people back. And it's totally understandable, right? Obviously, there are things in a marriage that you don't want to share with anybody else, and that's completely okay. I even have clients that don't share exact specifics with me, and it doesn't matter because what I'm more worried about is how it's affecting them, right? Does that make sense? So when you are struggling, when you want to share something with somebody else, when you want to have someone that you can confide in, I just want to offer that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to share all of the secrets or all of the details, but you can still confide in how you're being affected. And that's what you need support for. Does that make sense? Here's the other thing that I want to say that I've said so many times before is that sharing doesn't necessarily mean blasting it all over social media. I know that I do that. It is very rare. It is not something that I recommend for everybody. And if you're in a place to do that, by all means, go do it. But typically what I'm saying, this is why I say you talk to 3 people, one of whom is your spouse, right? The second person is a professional who has the tools to be able to make this distinction and be able to help you work through it. And then the third person is just that one person who you know is aware of you. And there's so much power in that. So much power in being able to have someone say, hey, how are you? And rather than just placating and saying, I'm doing well, how are you? You can actually say, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. Today has been rough. And that is all you have to say. You don't have to give details. You don't have to share specifics if you don't want to. Okay, divulging in someone or confiding in someone and having someone be your confidant simply means that you have someone in your corner, someone to offer you that emotional support when you don't have it yourself, someone who can help bolster you up when you are struggling. Does this make sense? I was talking to a client about it this week. It came up on a call and she said, I actually want to thank you because it had never occurred to me to talk to other people about it until you said that you should talk to other people about it. And she said, just over the last couple of weeks, I have started talking about it more to specific people, not to everybody. And she opened up to 2 people. And she said it was so beautiful because those people were people she trusted. They were also female. And even though neither one of them were dealing with this situation specifically in their own marriage, they had some difficult things they had dealt with in their marriage and had some advice that was actually super helpful for her, for my client. And one thing that she said is, she says, the more that I talk about this, the less heavy it seems. And that's something that is super powerful for you ladies, okay? When we are dealing with something alone and we feel isolated, it can add a heaviness and a weight to what we're going through that then makes it that much harder to work through. Does that make sense? When you start to open up about these things and you share, the weight, the heaviness of what you're dealing with dissipates. Now, it doesn't change your circumstance. It doesn't make it go away, but it makes it seem so much more lighter and you feel so much more capable of going through it, of working through it. And that is super, super powerful mentally. Now, if you don't have someone like this in your life, I want to invite you to come join coaching. Not only can I be that professional that you can work with, but I also have this incredible group of women that are all working through this together. There's something so powerful about simply logging on to one of our group coaching calls and just seeing the other women. Seeing that you're not alone. It's so powerful, and don't underestimate the power of that in your brain to click into a virtual room and suddenly not feel alone. And if you really want to feel that in person, come to Nashville with me. There's a reason that I am doing this retreat in person. There's a reason that I'm doing a live event. And here's what it is. There is power in being in the room. There is power in surrounding yourself by like-minded women who are all striving to improve themselves, who are all going through something where you can walk into a room and you don't even have to say anything. They get it. They know. And you can just sit and feel finally like you have a place where you belong, where you don't have to justify how you feel, where you can learn about how you feel and actually work through it and overcome the things that you are struggling with. There is power in a group. There is a reason. I have a strong conviction of this. I know you guys can tell. There is a reason that human beings need other human beings. There's a reason that we don't live alone. There's a reason we have families. There's a reason we have communities. There is a reason we have teams and groups. There is a reason that we don't isolate, and it's because we need other people. There is power in being around other individuals, and that is what I want to remind you guys of when you're dealing with this. You do not have to do it alone. And here's the other thing that I want to offer. If your husband truly understood how you were being affected by his pornography use, I don't think he would ask you to do it alone. My husband didn't understand how I was being affected by it. I didn't fully understand how I was being affected by it. And I know that if he truly understood how much it was affecting me, he would have said, absolutely, go talk to somebody. It didn't even occur to me. You guys know this. I'm a slow learner. It didn't even occur to me to ask. I'm sure if I'd asked, he'd been like, yeah, sure, go to therapy. I don't care. But even just if he asked me not to tell anyone about it. But I think if he knew how much I was affected, how much I was holding in, how much I was breaking under it, then he would have encouraged me to find one person. And here's the other thing I want to offer is you guys can totally talk to your husband about this and choose the person together. If he doesn't want it to be your best friend, maybe it's his. Maybe if he doesn't want it to be your mom, maybe it's his mom, or vice versa. You can come up with someone together that you can agree on that helps you both feel more comfortable. Someone who loves both of you. Someone who's going to help see you through this and will be the person that you need to help you get to the other side. That's your confidant. So when your husband says, I don't want you to talk to anybody about this, I also want you to remember there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. You can keep something private without it being a secret. And sometimes the secret becomes bigger than the problem. I have seen so many examples of this in my own life, and it is never a good thing because then we worry more about keeping it a secret than we do actually healing from it. And it's not a good place to be. It is totally possible for you to keep something private and share it with a select number of trusted individuals and keeping it secret, which means you're trying to deal with it by yourself without the knowledge of how to do so. And that's what I don't want for you. Okay, here are just my thoughts today. I hope you guys find them helpful. I can't wait for you all to read my book. It's coming out on September 6th. Go sign up for Nashville. I can't wait to see all of you there, and I'll see you guys next week on a brand new episode. So take care. All right, ladies, if you are loving what you are learning on the podcast, I want to invite you to come join my coaching program. This is where we take it to the next level and we actually start applying and learning the how of moving forward. This podcast has taught you the what, and the coaching program is where you're going to learn the how. This is where you learn how to actually start moving forward, process all of that pain that you feel, and let it go once and for all. If you are ready to finally move forward and stop living a life that revolves around your husband's pornography addiction, then I want to invite you to come join me today. Just head to my website, joleneWayne.com, and sign up today. I can't wait to see you there.